Time now for a look at today's papers with Antonia Kerrigan, who joins me on set for the press review. Hi, Antonia. Today marks 1,500 days since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. What are the papers saying about it?
Well, we've got a couple of looks in the French press about the state of play of the war. Les Échos has the headline, "War in Ukraine after 1,500 days of fighting, no ceasefire in sight." They say the vice, if you will, is loosening around Ukraine, but ceasefire negotiations are at a standstill. That's, of course, true. Libération also has commentary on the 1500th day. On the 1500th day, Kyiv is resisting on all fronts, is their headline. This article outlines what they see as Ukraine doing extremely well. They say that in 2022, Moscow planned to take Kyiv in 3 days. It's now been 1500 days. Moscow have only taken 1% of Ukrainian territory and lost an estimated 1.3 million soldiers, either dead or injured in the fighting. This article also points out that the very recent Ukrainian offensive on Russian oil infrastructure has taken out 40% of Russia's export capacity. Now, I would also like to show you an exclusive report put together by journalists at our sister radio station RFI. And the title here, Ukrainian soldiers deployed in western Libya. Now, this is after, on the 4th of March, a ship belonging to a Russian ghost fleet carrying liquefied natural gas was attacked at sea, and Moscow accused Kyiv of being behind it. Now, these journalists have investigated those claims, and it turns out to be true because there is a 200-strong Ukrainian military presence in Libya. And if you look at this map, some are at the Air Force Academy here in Misrata, and there are also designated Ukrainian bases at these two other locations, fully equipped for launching aerial and naval drones. This is after an agreement signed in October between Kyiv and Tripoli, in which, in return, Ukrainian forces are training Libyan soldiers in the use of drones, and Kyiv has also committed down the line to purchases of Libyan weapons.
Intriguing, Antonia. Thanks for that. Now let's turn to Germany. You might be watching France 24 from a train stuck somewhere in Germany, but now you can bet on whether it's going to arrive on time or not.
That's quite right. For the very fortunate viewers who are in that exact situation, we have the answer for you. The Times can spell it out a bit further. Sick of waiting for your train? Now you can bet on how late it will be. The Bahn Bet website was launched in early March, and users can bet on how late their train will be, transforming cultural frustration into satirical entertainment, said its creator. This is as Deutsche Bahn has a fairly poor record for punctuality. Only 58% of their trains arrived on time last year. One train delayed 71 minutes last month. Saw 85 bets placed on it. The service is being rolled out to other countries. It's a fictional currency, so there's no gambling health warning. It's more to the point, a perfect way to kill time, as you have described.
I think people would make too much money if they started betting on it, so it's probably a good thing it's not real money. Finally, you're looking at a toilet which is on its way to the moon.
That's quite right. So Artemis II is many things. It's among those things, it is the first time a real toilet has gone into deep space. And as one of the astronauts on board is quoted as saying in the New York Times, "We're pretty fortunate to have a toilet with a door." Well, it doesn't make you want to be on previous missions. However, there's a real deep dive here in the New York Times about the complications of going to the toilet in space. Of course, weightlessness is a real issue. So the toilet has handles for the hands and foot tethers to keep the user sitting down, and there is an automatic airflow system to whisk waste away from the body. However, as you see in this headline, the Artemis II toilet had a problem. After takeoff, a so-called blinking fault put the $30 million toilet, that's a figure The Guardian has here, out of order. You can just imagine the panic on board. NASA were able to reassure us that the crew and ground teams successfully analysed the data and were able to troubleshoot the toilet. We can imagine the scenes between the astronauts on board and ground control. The astronauts were then dispatched off for a 4-hour nap, we're told. This caught the imagination of a cartoonist in the Daily Mail who has this image of a NASA astronaut looking slightly sheepish, looking at these two aliens, and one of them is saying to the other in sort of interpreter style, they want to know if they can use our loo. Slightly embarrassing if that is our first interaction with extraterrestrial life. I think you'll agree.
Brilliant, Antonia. Thank you so much. That's a very important update. Obviously, space innovations often make their way down to Earth, so I wonder if we'll get those foot harnesses soon. Just a thought. Anyway, we're going to move on now to our France 24 Focus report.